I drop my hospital badge onto the kitchen counter, still in blue scrubs from a 12-hour shift. Every muscle screams, but Sienna will be hungry. Freezer door open, I scan for something quick. Chicken tenders, frozen vegetables. Good enough. Arabella? Can you come in here? Dad's voice carries from the dining room, coated with that artificial calm that always means trouble. Just a minute. I slide the chicken into the microwave, set the timer for 3 minutes. The hum fills the silence as I shuffle toward the dining room, still in my compression socks. Mom and Dad sit at opposite ends of the oak table, stiff and formal, as if it's Thanksgiving or when Pastor Miller visits. Papers are spread neatly across the scarred wood. Sienna's wheelchair is stationed at the fourth side. Dad's gray-flecked mustache twitches when I enter. Sit down. No hello. No how was your shift. Just the command. I lower myself into the empty chair, catching Mom's pinched expression and the way Sienna studies her hands folded in her lap. What's going on? The dread rises before I can stop it. Dad slides a document toward me, his signet ring flashing in the light. Your mother and I are getting older. We need to secure arrangements for Sienna's care. Across the top, bold letters shout, Caregiver Agreement. My eyes drop further, Responsible Party, Arabella Reed. I don't understand. It's simple, Mom says, soft voice masking steel. You'll cash out your 401k to establish a care fund for Sienna. Then you'll contribute $2,000 a month for her ongoing expenses. The room tilts. $2,000? Every month. Dad leans forward, fingers steepled. You earn $70,000 a year as a nurse. That's over $4,000 monthly. We're asking for half. But my student loans? My rent? Don't hide behind loans, Mom snaps. You have $60,000 in your 401. Cash it out, that's at least $40,000 after taxes. My hands tremble. I press them flat against the table to steady myself. This feels sudden. Nothing sudden, Dad says evenly. You've been responsible for your sister since the accident. Now we're putting it in writing. I stare at the repeated lines. My name, my obligations, legally binding. Sign today and we can file tomorrow. Dad pushes a pen toward me. A memory sears. 16-year-old me on Sienna's hospital bed, braiding her hair, promising through tears, I'll always take care of you. I'll fix this. Now her eyes meet mine across the table, then dart away. Silent. Why is this all on me? The words come out thin, shaky. We're all family. Dad's jaw hardens. Because you're the reason she's in that wheelchair. The knife of guilt twists, but underneath it something stirs. A forbidden thought. 11 years of carrying this weight and now they want it signed in ink? The arrangement's always been clear, Mom says, smoothing the tablecloth. You chose to feed stray cats instead of walking Sienna to the bus stop. She paid the price for your irresponsibility. The story I've been told 1,000 times. 14-year-old Sienna missing the bus, trying to catch it at the next stop, stepping into the street at the wrong moment. A delivery truck couldn't brake in time. My fault. Always my fault. I need time to think. My voice steadies. Dad's eyebrows rise. There's nothing to think about. You owe her this. Just a day or two. Sign now, Mom says coldly, or we'll tell everyone at the hospital how you've abandoned your sister. Your supervisor. Your church friends. Pastor Miller. All of them. The threat lands heavy. They know how I've shaped my life around Sienna. How coworkers admire my sacrifice. How the church reveres me as the devoted sister. You wouldn't. Try us, Dad warns, voice low. Sienna sits frozen, her chair perfectly positioned like a barrier between me and them. I reach for the pen, hand shaking, hovering above the line. My entire future narrowed to one signature. But I set the pen down. Quietly. I'll talk to you tomorrow. Dad starts to speak, but I'm already standing, legs weak beneath me. In my room, I lock the door and sink against the wall, too shaky to text. Scrolling contacts, I land on a name I haven't dialed in years. The phone rings 3 times before she answers. Arabella. Evelyn's voice is startled. It's been forever. Are you okay? Her concern cracks me open. Tears spill as I choke out the words. They want everything, my retirement, my paycheck. I don't know what to do. Slow down, she says, lawyer mode switching on. Tell me exactly what happened. Between sobs, I describe the ambush, the threats, the papers. Evelyn listens in silence, then asks the question that steals my breath. Arabella, have you ever seen the actual police report from Sienna's accident? No, my voice is a whisper. At 16, devastated, I never questioned. They handled everything. They told me what happened. Silence stretches. My chest tightens. What if it wasn't my fault at all? The coffee shop hums with low conversation, a world away from my parents' house. 3 days since the ambush and still my hands shake around a steaming mug. Evelyn slides into the booth opposite me, her tailored suit and sleek ponytail replacing the wild-haired college friend I remember. You look awful, she says bluntly. Classic Evelyn. 12-hour shifts plus dodging my parents will do that. My smile falters. I haven't really been back since. She sets a manila folder on the table. I found the police report. My stomach flips. How bad is it? Read. I pull the folder closer, words blurring. Accident location, Westridge Road, Maple. 3.8 miles from our neighborhood. Time, 3:42 p.m. Vehicle, 1998 Honda motorcycle. Driver, Jason Miller, 17. Passenger, Sienna Reed, 14. I blink. That can't be right. It says she was on a motorcycle with some boy. Miles from where I was feeding the cats. Keep reading, Evelyn urges. Witness statements leap out. Female passenger laughing, arms around driver's waist. Motorcycle ran yellow. Delivery truck had green. My throat closes. But they said she missed the bus. That she was trying to catch it at the next stop when. They lied, Arabella. Evelyn's hand covers mine, steady and warm. They lied about everything. The cafe walls tilt. 11 years of guilt. 11 years of working myself raw, living under their narrative. And Sienna, she was joyriding. Jason Miller, Evelyn continues. JV basketball captain. Your parents forbade her from seeing him, remember? Too wild. Too old. Memories rush back. Whispered phone calls, hidden texts, sudden obsession with basketball games. Signs I buried under years of atonement. Multiple witnesses confirmed it, Evelyn says, flipping to another page. She skipped the bus entirely to meet him. They were heading to the lake when they ran the light. My stomach revolts. I barely make it to the bathroom before emptying its contents. Cold sweat drips as I wash my face, staring into the mirror at hollow eyes, a stranger born of lies. When I return, Evelyn has ordered fresh tea. The report waits, unyielding. The hospital records, I whisper. The ones I wasn't allowed to see. They knew, didn't they? Evelyn nods grimly. A nurse told me your parents began constructing the story right in the trauma room. Before anyone had stabilized Sienna, your father was already blaming you. The betrayal cuts like glass. Why would they do this? Money at first. Then control. Evelyn pulls more documents. Remember the $20,000 your grandmother left you? 3 months after the accident, they borrowed it for medical expenses. But insurance covered everything. Another memory claws forward, signing papers through tears, Dad's hand heavy on my shoulder. For your sister's future, he'd said. That was why they made me delay college. My own voice sounds strange to me now, detached, when I recall how they insisted Sienna needed me home for her recovery. I juggled night classes with long days of work, slipping in moments to watch her between shifts. And your nursing degree? Evelyn asks, sliding another document across the table. Who decided that path for you? The question hits like a slap. Mom had claimed it was practical, that as a nurse I'd be better equipped to care for Sienna. But the truth? Nursing pays far less than the engineering career I once planned. Evelyn taps the page. Your starting salary in engineering would have been nearly double what you earn now. The numbers reel through my mind, forcing me to recalculate 11 years of manipulation. The guilt trips every time I hinted at moving out. The constant reminders of my supposed duty. Sienna's occasional tearful apologies that never made sense until now. They've been preparing this agreement for months, I murmur. That's why they kept asking about my 401k. Evelyn nods. Exactly. Without a signed document, they have no legal leverage. They're panicking, Arabella. Panicking about what? Losing their cash cow. Bitterness burns the back of my throat. That's part of it, Evelyn admits. But I dug deeper. Your parents are drowning, Second mortgage, credit card debt, uncovered medical expenses. Your father lost his job 6 months ago. The revelation doesn't soften my anger. It sharpens it into something cold like glass. He never told me. All those church fundraisers, the respect he demanded in the community. It was all a facade. People do desperate things when they're afraid, Evelyn continues. Your mother had an emotional breakdown at the church fundraiser last month. Pastor Miller assumed it was grief about Sienna, but it was really financial strain. Pieces click into place with brutal clarity. And Sienna? I ask. Did she know? She had to, Evelyn says gently. She was 14, not a child. She remembers the accident. She's carried the truth in silence. The betrayal from my sister cuts deepest. 11 years of complicity, letting me carry the blame, watching me sacrifice everything. They're not villains in a storybook, Evelyn cautions, reading my expression. They're terrified of losing their home, unable to pay for Sienna's therapies without your income. Your mother genuinely believes your sacrifice is the only way forward. But that doesn't make it right. No, I say, my voice firm. It doesn't. Evelyn shuts the folder with a final snap. The good news. They have no case. The statute of limitations expired long ago. Even if Sienna's accident had been your fault, which it wasn't, they can't legally demand support. For the first time in days, a faint spark of hope stirs in me. So what's next? We gather more evidence. The police report is only the beginning. Witness statements. Testimony from Sienna's ex-boyfriend. Your Aunt Laura, who overheard your parents at the hospital. And Jason Morgan still lives in Denver, right? I blink. He coaches basketball at Westridge High. Perfect, Evelyn says. And I know someone else. Marcus Bennett, an investigative journalist who specializes in family fraud. He exposed that couple last year who faked their child's illness for donations. The weight of it hits me. This will destroy my family. Evelyn's gaze softens. Arabella, your family destroyed itself when they decided your future was expendable. This isn't about revenge, it's about freedom. For you and even for Sienna. I stare at the police report, truth buried for 11 years. Will Sienna hate me for this? She might at first, Evelyn says. Change is terrifying, especially for someone who depends on others. But you're not alone anymore. Have me, Marcus, your aunt. People who want the truth out. For the first time in over a decade, the weight on my shoulders lightens. The road ahead is still daunting but no longer impossible. Okay, I say, spine straightening. Let's do this. Later that day, I pull up Jason Morgan's profile on social media. Wedding photos with a brunette in lace, 2 kids smiling in their front yard, a white-columned suburban home. His life looks clean, untouched by guilt. Are you sure you want to reach out? Evelyn asks over my shoulder. No. But what choice do I have? I click the message button and type. Were you with Sienna the day of her accident? Minutes later, my phone buzzes. A local number. Arabella? It's Jason. I got your message. His voice is deeper now, but the hesitancy is familiar. I've been waiting 11 years for this call. My pulse spikes. What do you mean? I've carried the guilt for years, he blurts. Sienna begged me not to tell anyone she was on my motorcycle. She refused the helmet, said it would ruin her hair for the party that weekend. When your parents arrived at the hospital, they threatened me. If I admitted anything, they'd press charges for endangering a minor. I was 17, terrified. When they spun the story about the bus stop and stray cats, I just agreed. The room tilts. I clutch the table edge. Why now? Because it's eating me alive, Jason says. And my wife saw your message. She's been urging me to confess for years. Sienna knows I'm calling you, we've stayed in touch. The words pierce me. My sister knew. He always knew. Will you give a statement about what really happened? I ask. I'm already typing it. I'll have it notarized tomorrow. When I hang up, Evelyn squeezes my shoulder. One more piece of evidence. Next we call Aunt Laura. Her voice wavers with relief as though she's been waiting years to speak. I was carrying flowers to Sienna's room, she recalls, when I overheard your parents. Your mother said don't let anyone know she was with that boy. We'll say Arabella was supposed to walk her to the bus. And your father answered, Arabella's always been responsible. She'll accept it was her fault. Laura's voice breaks. I should have spoken up back then. I'm so sorry, Arabella. By Sunday afternoon I have everything I need. I time my arrival for when Sienna is at physical therapy with her weekend caregiver. The living room feels smaller as I stand before my parents, the police report folded in my hand. Dad looks up from his paper, eyes narrowing at my face. What's going on? He asks. I know the truth about the accident, I say, steadier than I expect. It happened miles from the bus stop, on Jason's motorcycle. The color drains from Dad's face. He grips the armrests of his recliner until his knuckles go white. Mom recovers first. We were protecting Sienna from scandal, she says, as if destroying one daughter to protect another is reasonable. You were old enough to handle responsibility. They speak with the practiced calm of people who have rehearsed this story for years. I keep my voice low, but something in it makes them both flinch. You made me believe I ruined her life. For 11 years I carried that guilt. Dad leans forward, desperate. It doesn't change your obligation to your sister. I never abandoned Sienna, I tell him. And I never will. But I'm not signing those papers. Not tomorrow, not ever. I turn and walk out, spine straight, head high. The front door clicks softly behind me, quieter and more final than any slam. Evelyn waits in her car on the curb, engine idling. Her eyes widen when she sees me. You look 10 pounds lighter, she says. The tears come then. Sudden, overwhelming, not of pain but release, years of poison draining away. It worked, I manage between sobs. They admitted everything. We're just getting started, Evelyn says, pulling away. Her phone buzzes. Aunt Laura's text. The guest room is ready whenever you need it. I should have spoken up years ago. Then Marcus calls with news. He's found evidence they used your contributions for mortgage payments, not just Sienna's care. This is the kind of family fraud story that needs exposure, he says. As we drive from the house that held my guilt hostage for more than a decade, I watch it shrink in the rearview mirror. Do I press forward now or give them time to come clean? The answer forms in my chest. No more time. No more lies. I need to talk to Sienna when she gets home. She deserves to know I've found the truth, that neither of us has to carry other people's choices alone. On Monday morning I sip cold coffee and stare at the whiteboard in Evelyn's office. A timeline stretches across the wall. 11 years of manipulation mapped in neat lines of blue marker. Sticky notes mark every moment my parents leveraged my guilt to extract money, time, or emotional labor. We need to anticipate their next move, Evelyn says, capping her marker. Her crisp pantsuit and calm voice anchor me. They won't roll over because I confronted them with a report. My nursing instincts kick in. Assess, identify risks, make a plan. Martin always counterattacks when cornered, I say, pointing to incidents in 2018 and 2021. Times they gaslit me about my grandmother's inheritance and sudden setbacks requiring round-the-clock care. Marcus enters with a stack of manila folders and drops them on the conference table. You were right about the finances. He opens the top folder. I tracked your contributions against Sienna's medical expenses for the past 5 years. Less than 40% of what you gave went to her care. My stomach tightens as I scan the spreadsheets. Where did the rest go? Mortgage payments. Credit cards. A fishing boat purchased 3 years ago. Marcus taps a highlighted line. They've been paying into a Florida timeshare since 2020. The sting of betrayal is immediate, but I push the hurt aside. This is no longer only about feelings. This looks like systematic fraud. We build the case the way I used to build patient investigations. Meticulous documentation, pattern recognition, corroborating witness statements. Evelyn nods. Emotional confrontations won't work with manipulators this skilled. We dismantle their control piece by piece. 4 hours we catalog. Jason's written account and the threats my parents made, financial records showing misappropriation, medical billing for equipment that never arrived. A strange calm settles over me as we work. For years I approached my family with guilt and fear. Now I analyze it with clinical clarity. Marcus taps his pen. The insurance angle is especially concerning. Claims filed for equipment that was never delivered. That could be fraud. Evelyn adds, I spoke with 3 of your colleagues at Denver Memorial. They provided statements about your exhaustion, about falling asleep on your feet after long shifts and overnight vigils with Sienna. Dr. Harriman in particular described watching you stumble through 12-hour shifts after sleepless nights. The office phone rings. Evelyn answers. Her expression tightens. They've hired Patricia Lambert, the family support attorney. Marcus frowns. That's an escalation. My pulse spikes. Evelyn looks at me squarely. They've sent a formal demand letter citing moral obligation and are threatening to petition for guardianship of Sienna if you don't comply. My hands begin to shake. My professional detachment cracks. Patricia Lambert has a reputation for aggressive litigation. Can they take guardianship? I ask. No, Evelyn answers firmly, but they're counting on your fear. Legal fees could drain what's left of your savings. That's their tactic. Marcus studies my face. You okay? I inhale, steadying myself. The first shock recedes, replaced by a hard clarity. They're trying to scare me because they know I have the truth. How far will they go to keep this lie alive? The question hangs in the air. My parents have spent 11 years weaving a deception. They manipulated our community, stole my money, my time, my peace. They won't surrender easily. Neither will I. 3 days later, we lay the documents across Evelyn's mahogany table, each piece labeled and ordered. The police report sits in the center like a bright axe. Official, unavoidable, the truth I was denied for 11 years. This is everything? Evelyn asks, scanning our preparation checklist. Every scrap from the last 11 years. I adjust my reading glasses, still unfamiliar after years of neglecting my own needs for Sienna's. We've got Jason's sworn statement about the motorcycle accident, Sienna's medical records showing treatments that never happened, and the bank statements tracing exactly where my money went. Marcus enters carrying a thick manila folder. His precision as an investigative journalist has been invaluable. I found something. He lays a document on the table. Your parents applied for a second mortgage 6 months ago, using your signature. My stomach twists. I never signed anything. Exactly. He taps the signature line. It's a forgery. The bank's forensic examiner confirmed it yesterday. Evelyn adds the document to our binder. That shifts this beyond emotional manipulation. We're in criminal territory now. I study the forged signature, noting Dad's unmistakable pressure points. Even his lies carry his controlling imprint. I've already filed the restraining order, Evelyn continues. That should hold them off while we finish preparing. The whiteboard behind her maps out our timeline. 11 years of manipulation reduced to bullet points and arrows. Seeing it laid out this way strips away the fog of guilt that clouded me for so long. Sienna's medical records were the final piece, I say, tapping a folder. Half the treatments they claimed were never provided. The physical therapy center has no record of the intensive sessions they paraded at church fundraisers. Marcus whistles softly. This isn't a family squabble anymore. It's fraud. We're not just exposing lies, I reply, my voice steadier than I expect. We're dismantling a decade of fraud. My phone vibrates across the table. Hospital administration. I hesitate before answering. Arabella Reed speaking. Miss Reed, this is Melissa from HR. We need you here immediately regarding serious allegations about your conduct. Ice fills my chest. What allegations? Your father called our ethics hotline this morning. He claims you've been stealing prescription medications to sell for personal profit. The accusation steals my breath. I put the phone on speaker so Evelyn and Marcus can hear. I'll be there in 30 minutes, I manage, then hang up. They're escalating, Evelyn says, already pulling documents together. They know about our investigation and they're striking at your weakest point, your career. The floor tilts beneath me. Everything I've built. Marcus shakes his head. It's desperate. They're banking on fear to make you fold. I need to deal with this now. I grab my credentials. The hospital has cameras in every med room. The truth will clear me. I'm coming as your attorney, Evelyn insists. 2 hours later, I sit across from my supervisor while security reviews access logs. Tension coils in my shoulders until Janet closes the file. The allegations have no merit, she says firmly. Your record is spotless, Arabella. I'm sorry your family dragged us into this. Outside in the parking lot, Evelyn squeezes my hand. You handled that flawlessly. Professional, calm, the opposite of what they expected. Should I confront them now? I ask, watching sunlight glare off the hospital windows, or wait until our case is airtight? Back in Evelyn's office the next morning, We gather for final strategy. The evidence binders stand ready, documents tagged and indexed. Marcus has assembled a multimedia timeline of the manipulation. I've contacted neighbors, church members, even Sienna's doctors, Marcus reports. All have stories of conflicting accounts your parents gave over the years. The forged mortgage is our strongest leverage, Evelyn adds. It's undeniable. I glance at the stacks of evidence, the culmination of weeks of methodical work. The transformation feels physical, guilt traded for clarity, fear for purpose. We're ready, I say. It's time to end this. The following Wednesday the doorbell chimes. I smooth the wrinkles from my navy slacks and glance at my phone. Evelyn's text glows. We're in position. Stay calm. The dining room has been staged like a tribunal. Extra chairs ring the oak table, each set with a water glass and notepad, as if this is a corporate board meeting instead of my family's ambush. Dad stands at the head in his Sunday suit. Thank you for coming on such short notice. Family matters require family solutions. I scan the room. Uncle Robert, Aunt Patricia, Mom's sister Grace, 2 church elders, Pastor Miller with his Bible neatly laid before him, and a silver-haired attorney I don't recognize. Sienna sits small and silent, eyes fixed on her lap. Dad begins. For those who don't know, Arabella has been responsible for Sienna's care since the accident 11 years ago. Recently, she's chosen to abandon that responsibility. The words hit like a blow. Murmurs ripple around the table. That's not true, I start, but Dad raises his hand. Please let me finish. His voice quivers with manufactured grief. We've covered Sienna's expenses as best we could, but Martin's health problems make full-time work impossible. First lie, he was fired. Mom flips open a binder. These are medical bills from just the past 6 months. Without Arabella's contribution, Sienna's therapy will end. Second lie, insurance covers most of it. Arabella earns $70,000 a year as a nurse, Dad adds, eyes glistening on cue. We're only asking for $2,000 a month. She has retirement savings she could access for the initial fund. Uncle Robert turns to me, disappointment etched deep. How could you do this to your sister? The walls close in as the carefully crafted narrative takes hold. Pastor Miller leans forward. Perhaps Christian mediation could help. Arabella, surely we can reach an arrangement that honors your obligations. The attorney slides papers toward me. A simple caregiver agreement. Once signed, Sienna's needs will be secure. Every eye waits on me. This is their design. Public pressure, moral guilt, community judgment, all meant to crush me into compliance. Sienna stays silent, her muteness twisted into proof of their story. My phone buzzes in my pocket, the signal. I rise, surprised at the calm in my voice. Before anyone signs anything, I'd like to introduce someone. The doorbell rings on cue. Mom frowns. Who could that be? My attorney, I answer, watching her face blanch. And a journalist who's been helping me uncover what really happened 11 years ago. Dad's hand tightens around his pen. This is a private family matter. It stopped being private the moment you invited the church elders and your lawyer. I walk to the front door without asking permission. Evelyn enters first, sharp and composed in her charcoal suit, followed closely by Marcus with his press badge and recorder visible. Behind them comes Aunt Laura, Mom's youngest sister, who had been working at the hospital when Sienna was first admitted. What is she doing here? Mom snaps, rising from her chair. To stand with the truth, Aunt Laura answers firmly, stepping to my side. Pastor Miller looks unsettled as Evelyn introduces herself. I'm Evelyn Carter, attorney for Arabella Reed. I understand there's been talk of a caregiver agreement based on false claims. This is ridiculous, Dad bursts out, his carefully practiced calm starting to crack. Sienna has been paralyzed for 11 years because Arabella failed to walk her to the bus. Everyone here knows that story. That's the version you told, I correct, feeling strangely steady now that the confrontation has arrived. But it isn't what really happened, is it, Dad? Marcus sets his recorder at the edge of the table. Martin and Diane Reed, he begins. I'm Marcus Bennett with the Denver Chronicle. I've been investigating your financial arrangements concerning your daughter's care. Mom's face twists with fury. How dare you drag outsiders into our home to slander us after everything we've done for Sienna? After everything you've done? The bitter laugh escapes me before I can stop it. You spent 11 years convincing me I ruined my sister's life. You drained my college fund, grandma's inheritance, and half my paycheck every month, telling me it was my duty. Silence descends. Relatives shift uncomfortably in their seats. Nora, Pastor Miller begins but stops himself, correcting softly, Arabella, these are serious claims. Yes, they are. I face the circle of family and community. And before anyone signs anything, you need to see what we've brought. Evelyn opens her briefcase and hands out manila folders. Across the table I catch Sienna's eyes, wide, fearful, but with a flicker of something else. Relief. Sienna, I say gently, after 11 years, don't you think it's time the truth came out? Her eyes fill with tears as she clutches the wheels of her chair. Inside her folder lies what the others don't have. Photographs of her with Jason on his motorcycle taken the morning of the crash. I've carried this for so long, she whispers. Evelyn lays another folder in front of Pastor Miller. The police report, witness accounts, and years of financial documents exposing the fraud. The accident happened almost 4 miles from the bus stop, I say, steady now, on a motorcycle with Sienna's boyfriend, against our parents' rules. Uncle Robert flips through his folder, his face draining of color. This says the accident had nothing to do with missing the bus. Nothing at all, I confirm, watching the walls of my parents' lies collapse. They deceived everyone, including me, from the moment Sienna reached the hospital. Aunt Laura's voice trembles as she speaks. I was there. I heard Martin telling Diane to hide that Sienna was with that boy. They invented the bus stop story before she was even out of surgery. Pastor Miller turns on my father, his voice heavy. Is this true, Martin? The silence is suffocating. My mother's lips press into a thin, bloodless line. My father's jaw clenches, but no denial comes. Then Sienna's voice cuts through, fragile yet growing stronger. I skipped the bus to ride with Jason. Mom and Dad always said Arabella would be blamed, because she was supposed to be watching me. Her eyes lock onto mine. I let them do this to you. For 11 years I stayed silent. Tears sting my eyes, but I blink them away. I would have helped you anyway, Sienna. You never had to lie. Pastor Miller exhales heavily. We must all go through these documents carefully. His earlier certainty is gone, replaced by sober gravity. Marcus steps forward, recorder raised. I'd like to ask about the church fund, created for Sienna's care. The mood in the room shifts, fear yielding to accountability. My parents sit stiff, their power evaporating as their lies are laid bare. I never abandoned you, I whisper to Sienna, kneeling beside her chair. I just couldn't live under their lies anymore. Her hand grips mine tightly, her tears flowing. I knew it was wrong, but I was too scared to speak. Can you forgive me? I pull her into a hug, feeling her sobs shake through both of us. For the first time in 11 years, we are finally free of the story they forced on us. There's nothing to forgive, I whisper. We were both victims here. Elder Peterson clears his throat. The church board will need to investigate potential misuse of donated funds. Evelyn steps forward. Let me make this clear. Arabella has never had and does not have any legal obligation to provide financial support for Sienna. Pastor Miller nods gravely. Going forward, the church will ensure proper oversight of any support for Sienna's care. My parents stand together, suddenly small and exposed under the weight of the truth. For the first time the room sees them clearly. Mom fumbles for her purse, Dad for his car keys. I think we're finished here, Dad says flatly. No one rises to stop them. No one offers a goodbye. The door closes behind them with a finality that feels like the end of a long storm. I remain seated beside Sienna, our hands still clasped. The crushing weight of 11 years lifts, leaving me lighter than I've felt since I was 16. In the silence that follows, Sienna squeezes my hand. What happens now? She asks softly. I glance around the room, at Evelyn's sharp professionalism, Marcus's relentless investigation, Aunt Laura's hard-won truth, Pastor Miller's shaken but steady morality. Now, I tell her, we begin again with the truth. Sunlight filters through the window, catching on Sienna's tears. For the first time in over a decade, they glisten not with guilt or shame but with hope. 3 weeks later, I unlock the door to Sienna's new apartment and push it wide open. She wheels herself over the threshold, sunlight spilling across polished hardwood floors. The space is modest but completely accessible, Lowered countertops, roll-under sinks, wide doors, and a bathroom designed for her independence. Is this really mine? Sienna's voice carries a wonder I haven't heard since we were teenagers. All yours, I smile, setting down the box in my arms. The insurance settlement covered the first year's rent and the modifications. No more asking permission just to change your own home. Sienna glides through the apartment, fingertips brushing over the counters. Her shoulders are straighter now, no longer permanently hunched in apology. Dad called me last night, she says quietly, pausing at a window that overlooks a small community garden. He sounded desperate. They should be, I reply, unpacking dishes into low cabinets. Pastor Miller told me the church board opened a full investigation into the misused funds. And that doesn't even touch the insurance fraud. Sienna nods, her face a mixture of sorrow and relief. 11 years of lies unraveling in 2 weeks. My phone buzzes, Evelyn's text, guardianship papers approved. All of Sienna's benefits will finally be properly managed. No more intercepted checks, I tell her, showing her the message. No more money disappearing. She smiles and wheels toward the couch. Have you been sleeping? The question takes me by surprise. Actually, yes. For the first time in forever. Last night I slept 8 full hours, without dreams of you falling or crying for me. I keep waking up thinking I need to report to them, she admits. Then I remember, I don't owe them anything anymore. She grins faintly. Yesterday I applied for disability benefits. The ones they always claimed you couldn't get without me? Exactly those. She laughs, the sound bright and unfamiliar after so many years. Turns out I've been eligible for a decade. I laugh too, opening another box. I applied for the nurse practitioner program. I start next semester. Without $2,000 disappearing every month, I can finally afford it. The golden afternoon light shifts as we unpack together. Later, 3 of my colleagues arrive with dinner and extra boxes. Marcia, our charge nurse, hugs me fiercely. We've set up a rotating schedule, she tells Sienna. The whole unit signed up to help whenever Arabella's in class. Sienna wipes her eyes. I never realized how many people cared. That evening we sit on her patio while crickets sing in the community garden. Her apartment feels nothing like our parents' house. No heaviness, no walking on eggshells, no endless burden of obligation. For years I thought caring meant carrying everyone's weight, I tell her, watching a hummingbird dart among the flowers Marcia brought. Now I see, it means helping people stand on their own. She squeezes my hand. I should have told you the truth years ago. We were both trapped, I answer softly. 6 months later, I stand before a whiteboard in Denver Memorial's Trauma Center, leading orientation for new nurses. My scrubs are the same blue, but everything else is different. My apartment is filled with books and plants, my loans are finally manageable, and the weight that crushed me for 11 years is gone. Remember, I tell the wide-eyed nurses, your first duty is to advocate for your patients, even if that means standing against family members who claim to know best. After my shift, I drive to Sienna's apartment for our weekly dinner. The smell of lasagna greets me as she proudly sets the table. How's school? I ask. 3 A's so far, she beams. The disability advocacy course is my favorite. I'm helping 2 families navigate the system mom and dad exploited. We eat together, talking about futures instead of old wounds. When she mentions our parents' latest plea for reconciliation, I feel no trace of the old fear. I told them the same thing I always do, I shrug. I'll consider a relationship when they accept responsibility and make amends. They're still clinging to obligation and forgiveness without truth, she says. That's their choice, I reply. And I don't need anyone's permission to live my life anymore. On the 1-year anniversary of the confrontation, Sienna and I visit the city park where I once fed stray cats. Autumn leaves crunch under her wheelchair as I guide her along the path. Remember when I couldn't even look at cats without guilt? I ask, helping her over a bump in the trail. She laughs. And now we're running a foundation. The Reed Sisters Foundation, launched with funds from our parents' insurance settlement, has already supported 3 families with grants for accessibility and legal protection. That evening we attend Sienna's therapy milestone celebration. She demonstrates her progress by transferring from wheelchair to table on her own, drawing applause. When asked to speak, she wheels forward. The hardest part wasn't my paralysis, she tells the group. It was the lies. Lies heavier than any physical burden. Watching her speak with such strength, I feel a quiet completeness. The truth hasn't just freed us. It's revealed who was truly there all along. Not the parents who demanded loyalty, but the community that stood by us once the truth finally came to light. As we leave, Sienna asks, "Do you ever wonder what would have happened if Evelyn hadn't asked about the police report?" "I think the truth would have come out anyway," I answer. "Some lies are too big to stay buried forever."